edge of town, and you can tell by the darkness, it is the edge of town. I'll turn on the light real quick, because you always need light, flashlight, there it is. A little brighter, I guess. Here comes the car. So anyway, there's the bridge. You can't see much with the light that I have. Here's the underbridge. Weird eyes up there. Whew. And here's look how dark it is when I don't have this on. Look at that. But I put this on, we got a little light going on. But yeah, so here we are in the dark of the night. Anyway, I didn't really feel like talking today at all. Going through a lot of stuff, a lot. Heartbroken, hopeless, tired, what else? Lots of stuff. So I'm just walking in the night. But again, I'm reminded of a script. Look how dark it is. Didn't I tell you it's pretty dark? Nobody believes till they see the dark. Here comes some cars. And then we start getting the light. Once we pass that dark area there, which is super dark, we start getting to light. And there's the first street light. That's where it gets a little more safe, I guess you'd say. Although there's a big light over there from that building. But yeah, that's all dark there. Super dark. And then once I'm out of there, it's all lit up from here on out. I mean, it gets a little dark here and there, but it's always street lights and main roads after that. But anyway, like I said, going through some heartache, going through some things, and kind of bummed out. But I remember that scripture that says, preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season. Who knows if we get any watchers tonight? We may. There's the cinemas I was talking about that line up here at Washington Fruit. They adjusted my hours. So now I got to be to work at 5 instead of 3. So, nice. For at least the next couple of weeks. Anyway, so I'll be to work earlier or later, which is nice, at 5 instead of 4, which means I gotta start walking at 4 because it takes me about an hour to get there. But that's where I'm going right now. If anybody has any questions where I'm going, I'm on my way to work. I'm one of those 40-hour-a-week guys because I don't want to live on the streets, and I like comfort, and I like to have food in my fridge, and I like to have electricity and internet connection. I guess the basic necessities, if you want to call them that. But yeah, so that's why I'm walking to work. Anyway, so, when it talks about preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, there's always, it's so crazy. But you can turn on your Instagrams and you'll just see a bunch of baloney. And it really is, because people want to be the next big sensation, if that's what it's called. And so there's a tidal wave of it. Tidal wave of added extra stories, tidal wave of stuff. Anyway, so be instant, in season, out of season. So I shared with you how God intended and wanted man to fall in the garden. That was his intention. That's why he put the tree there. Okay? Because it never made sense to me, for sure. I was like, that'd be like me taking my 2-year-old baby when they were 2 years old. Now they're older. My son's going to be 14 this year. My other daughter just turned 16. And my other one will be 18. My son, turned 21, I believe. And the other one's, the oldest one's 22. So they're all old, grown, and all that. And I guess you got people going home from work, graveyard shift. So that's another comfort, cars going by, whatnot. Anyway, so the way the religion tells the story about Adam and Eve, it just never made no sense to me. As a matter of fact, I thought it was retarded. And that's the truth. I really thought it was retarded. Because you've got why was that car slowing down? That don't make no sense. Anyway, you've got God, who is all-knowing, and he puts a tree, to leave it up to them. That just never made sense with me, ever. Not one time. And like I said, for that story to make sense, it'd be like me putting poison and milk next to each other and telling my 1-year-old who's learning to walk, hey, take your choice. It just didn't make sense, because you got to figure the Adam and Eve, the people in the garden, they don't know anything. I mean, nothing. It's so funny, because we can know all the good we want. It isn't until we get to know the bad. That's when we really start knowing something. That's wild. Because you've got people that know a lot. And then the other side, the flip side, street smart, they call it. And if you don't know that, you don't know anything. That's so wild. But anyway, so you got Adam and Eve, who literally don't know anything. I mean, nothing. All they know is to eat fruit and be naked. I mean, from what I'm gathering. And we all partook of that. Come on. Every single one of us walked around without diapers at one time and weren't ashamed. I mean, as babies, you just walk. I remember my second to the youngest, she was a baby, man. She'd always strip down. Always. I don't care where we were. She'd get down to her diaper and run around and didn't care. And we let her. Of course, we watch her. Make sure nobody was filming her or photoing her, because, she's our baby. And I was a very watchful dad. When they were small, oh yeah. Couldn't get nothing over on me because I watched them. Anyway. So that story never made sense to me. That God made them, put in the tree of knowledge and the evil, tree of knowledge of good and evil, that could kill them, and left it up to them. Oh wow, why is this truck stopping? Left it up to them to, what the hell's going on here? Well, this is the first time ever this happened. Oh, no, you're good. Oh, no, you're good. She thought I was her coworker. That never happened before. Well, hey, I could be your coworker. Give me a ride to work. Anyway, so here, it just never made sense to me at all, ever. So I asked God straight up. I was like, what up with the tree, man? Real simple, you know. I didn't come with all the holistic talk of, oh, thou art so great and wonderful. Canst thou answer? No, I didn't do that. I said, hey, dude, what's up with the tree? What's up with the putting a tree that'll kill them? You know? And then, of course, the response is, well, that was the intention, for them to die. And we fail to realize that mostly everything within our realm has to die before it can live. The wheat, the fruit, even the trees that give us oxygen. It drops a seed, and the shell of that seed has to die so the tree can live. Crazy, right? Even birth. I always heard this term, that a woman, when she's giving birth, has 1 foot in the grave because she could die, which is crazy. Anyway, so God intended for them to die. I'm going to tell you why, don't worry. I know it seems crazy, but it's true. Cruising for guys. Okay, anyway. For one, I'm walking. Dude said cruising for guys. I'm walking. So I'm really not cruising. I don't have a car. Not on a boat. So I'm touring. But I am touring to go to work at my job. Legit job, I guess you'd say. Anyway, it's funny how people try to say that. Anyway, so I guess they call those guys trollers, I don't know, who try to get a rise out of people, which I don't mind, you know. Anytime you go in the toilet, you're going to smell poop or urine. So there you go. Anyway, so the intention is for man to fall. Now, why would God want man to fall in the garden, or die, if you will? Well, when Lucifer, being a angel, I'm no troll. Huh. Right on. The fact that you have to respond to that says already a bunch right there. Anyway, the fact that Adam and Eve had to fall when Lucifer fell, that is a being of great significance that fell. Very significant. Hey, Fun Machine, I didn't say you were a troll, bruh. I just said I've heard there's trolls on this thing. But if you want to take ownership, by all means, sir. Anyway, here, something more dramatic had to be done. And it's funny because not many of us experiencing what we experience on Earth. Experience what we experience on Earth. Like I said, go ahead and comment all you like. It's kind of fun because when poop stinks, flies are around, so keep the flies buzzing, buddies. Anyway, here, when Adam and Eve being made, well, Adam being made in the image of God. And then, of course, Eve being made for man's glory. And nobody understands that either, you know. But anyway, there had to have something occur that was more profound than what a angelic being that's forever did. Something had to occur that one-upped it, if you will. So when you look at it, Adam being made in the image of God, falling, basically upped an angel falling. So in essence, because Adam was made in the image of God, it was as if God was falling. Not that God ever would, because of course God is God, period. So, one-upped. And of course, because we know this, every, physics tells you this, laws of physics tell you this. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, Satan, when he went against God, and like I said, actually against himself, he basically, man, I got all these cars stopping. What's really going on? Anyway, he basically, he basically caused a reaction, or excuse me, an action in the spirit realm, which it was always a spirit realm before it was a physical realm. And so him taking that action, the reaction could not be given to him as he is an eternal being. Okay? It'd be like having a still lake, like a mirror type thing. It's so still. Okay? I mean, just pristine and still and at peace. No waves whatsoever, no wind, just still. And then you take a nice big rock and you throw that in the middle of that stillness. Well, there's going to be a rippling effect. Now, you being as big as you are, it ain't going to look like a tsunami. But if you were an ant on a leaf in that, it's going to be troubling. And the ripple effect goes out. So you got all these rings showing up. Okay? So they ripple through time. And what happens is, Satan, taking the action that he did, caused that rippling effect to occur within the spirit. And of course, he can't take the blunt of it, or the brunt of it, because he is an eternal being. It's not possible. Okay? And again, and I'll tell you this is the truth. It wasn't God that banished him when he went against God. The minute he went against God, he became darkness. And darkness and light don't mix. So it wasn't God banishing him. It was him becoming darkness. And of course, disappearing, because there's no way light and dark can mingle. Okay, good. So, as he goes and he does what he does, in essence, it's dangerous. Very dangerous. But again, because they are eternal beings, because they are forever beings, there can't be a penalty given, because they're forever beings. But see, that act that took place had to be vented somewhere. Okay, let's go back to the idea of the still lake and the waves. So, the action Satan took going against God caused that rippling effect. But like I said, it couldn't be vented anywhere because all you got are forever beings. And forever beings, that's my loose term I use because I don't use supernatural, that's retarded. But spiritual beings that cannot take the repercussions of their actions. Now, in Isaiah and Ezekiel, when it describes what's happened to Satan or Lucifer, it states iniquity was found in you. Now, I'm going to give you the basest example of what iniquity. Okay, watch this. Now, AIDS ain't such a big problem anymore. Back in the 80s, everybody was scared of AIDS. They kind of toned it down a little bit, got some kind of stuff to not cure it, but to actually have it dealt with. And so, but back in its time, when it was brand new, everybody was afraid of it. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know, first it was called HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, which means it breaks down your immune system so you can die from a cold. I remember watching a movie about a model who was very promiscuous, who lived the life of a model, beautiful lady from what I gather, and she contracted AIDS. She got it. And I guess when she died, her mother said, when they pulled her off the bed, her back actually stuck to the bed. Her back came off her body. The skin and flesh off her back stuck to her mattress. Wow. Anyway, so nobody knew where it come from. And nobody still knows. I know they try to say monkeys, they try to say this, they try to say that. But what they did know was it was invisible and it kills. Period. And of course, I always ask these questions to people. Some answer, some don't. But here's what happens. What's the one thing that's killed more people than cancer, than AIDS, than every disease you can think of, than every war ever fought? What's the one thing that's killed more people than all that? And I'll tell you, death. So death is worse than AIDS. Death is worse than war. Death is worse than cancer. Because all those things are suffering before death. Like that one guy said. And so, death is the end result. And so here, because Satan did what he did, or Lucifer did what he did, someone had to take the brunt force of that. That's why man was created. Man was created to take the rippling effect of Adam and Eve, or their actions, actually of the spirit realm. Okay, so here, God won up Satan. How? Basically, by having the image of God fall, which is more worse than an angelic being falling. But then again, at the same time that man fell, God was already establishing something that was more powerful than anything. How does the word say it? He said, it's sown in wheat, it is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. Now that's wild, because one has nothing to do with the other. Corruption and incorruption are two totally different, vast, different things. They don't combine. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. Hello. So you have the weakness. You have the corruption previous to what the end result should be. This is why Jesus is called the second Adam. You know, that's why. Hello, Yasin. Hi. I'm sorry I didn't say hi earlier. It's just I'm walking to work and my eyes are kind of bad late at night, and the printing on the phone is so small, so I don't respond right away, and I do apologize for that, but I will eventually, which I did. Okay, anyway, so here, mankind falling in the garden, he was able to take the brunt of that rippling effect. Because if you notice the stories, if you ever read, which I have, when Israel was chosen by God, and it wasn't a race of people already, it was one guy. It's funny how it always starts with one guy. And Abram, which was his name, was actually not an Israelite at all. Israel didn't come until Jacob, when Jacob's name was changed to Israel. But it was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's how Israelites came to be, as a result of Jacob having all the sons that he had. And of course, those sons had sons, and before you know it, you got this whole, and they're all related. That's wild. From three guys: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Anyway, so but if you read the stories of Israel, it's almost like a roller coaster effect. Because if you go to the history of Israel, they're with God, they're not with God. They're with God, they're not with God. They're with God. I mean, you can read the Judges, you know. They get deliverance, they're back with God, they're away from God. They get deliverance, they're with God, they get away from God. I mean, it's a roller coaster effect. And if you look at a roller coaster effect, what is a roller coaster effect? Up and down, up and down. Well, what do ripples in that still lake resemble? Up and down and up and down. Okay, so what I'm saying is, the action of Satan being an eternal, and I can show this to you in scripture, don't get me wrong. And like I said, I'll share it. If you want to know what the scriptures are, we'll go over a study sometime, and I'll give them all to you. Anyway, up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's mankind made to take the brunt of what? Why do you think there was a time from Adam to Christ? Why do you think that is? The Bible calls it the restitution of all things. Why do you think that is? Why wouldn't God have man fall, a couple generations later, provide Christ, and everything's good, right? It makes more sense that way. No. There had to be a restitution from what Satan did. That had to be vented somewhere. And mankind was made to take the brunt. Now I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Now think about it this way. The Ark of God, the Ark of the Covenant of God, which according to Scripture, well, let's take a look around. It's 5 a.m. almost, and it's still dark. Take a look. But over there, you can see behind that house, barely the sun's coming up, which is nice. I'm a big fan of the day. And there's the hiding moon hidden behind whatever. Pretty good phone because it grabs it. It looks more brighter on the phone. Hiding behind the clouds. You have to forgive me. Anyway, I ate spaghetti this morning. My tummy's a little full. And I only ate one small plate, so there you go. But I guess pasta expands with liquid. Those are pretty cool. I like those. I like that little setup. A little bit. I'd have had more on them, but oh well. Anyway, then we got this is where I usually see a skunk. Usually hiding up in here. Don't smell him today, so he mustn't be around. But anyway, so the rippling effect, the results or the reaction to Satan's action going against God. See? And that's why mankind was made. That's why Israel was chosen, to take the brunt of the effect of what Satan did in the eternal. Okay, now here's the thing, folks. I'm going to go back to the dirt in a minute. But you see, Satan, we described it in Ezekiel, the anointed cherub, the covering was the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the sapphire, the carbuncle. And his beauty was beyond compare. Perfect in all thy ways, it says. Well, arrogance knows no measure. I know, because I'm self-centered and I'm arrogant. But it has no measure. There's no amount of me, I in arrogance. And so, when Satan, because I'm going to tell you right now, and this is going to shock some of you, you're probably not going to listen to me anymore, and that's okay, because he's still going to be here. God still loves the devil. I'm going to tell you that right now. Some of you will be like, I don't believe that. Well, that's okay. But he does. How can you not love when you're love itself? God doesn't have love like us. He is love. That's the wildest part of it all. He is love. Okay? But I'm going to tell you this right now. He loves us more. He loves us more. That's what's powerful about that. So, Satan being the eternal being that he is, of course, his arrogance knows no bounds. Self-centered, selfish, all that. And all of a sudden, if you will, he hurt God when he went against God. I'll give you the scenario. Because I asked God about this. And of course he showed me. So when Satan disappears because he goes against God, again, his thoughts were that I will be like the Most High. He immediately, boom, disappears. Even Jesus said it. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That's what he said. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That fast, bye-bye. And if you notice that, when you turn the light on in a dark room, how fast does the darkness go away? Immediately. And so, here, Satan, of course, God is, where's Lucifer? Where is Lucifer? I don't know. I don't know. Now, this is what's amazing about God. I mean, That's what makes him God. Just like I hear Ricky Gervais talk about, and he can have all that, he should. Anybody who is atheist or agnostic or hates God, you should. When you're not born again, you live out the traits of a human. Nothing wrong with that at all. You know? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with hating God. You should. You're not born again. Nothing wrong with not believing in God. You should. You're not born again. Okay? So, it's not a shock when anyone that isn't born again says, I hate God. Well, yeah, you should. You don't know him. You know? And so, it's amusing to me when Ricky Gervais says, yeah, you can't prove God. Well, sir, you can't disprove him either. That's my response. You can't disprove him. I mean, I definitely can't prove him. Why should I, though? Because, again, you've got your sections, if you will. You know, it's like you got tall, you got fat, you got short, you got skinny, you got ugly, you got pretty. I mean, you got all this stuff going on. And, you know, and again, I always was questioned about that. Well, that idea of inner beauty. One guy said, that's what ugly people say. But yeah, I mean, no, there's times that I met people that aren't very attractive, but they were very nice. And I met some that were so attractive, and they were just horrible. Honestly. Anyway, so here's what God does. And I can show it to you in Scripture. You want to look it up yourself, you can. It's Job chapter 40. And in Job chapter 40, it describes, or maybe 39 or 40, one of those two. It's between 38 and the end of the chapter. I'm not trying to misquote. I'm walking, so I'm getting to work. I gotta keep the stride going. And every time I try to open this other phone for the Bible to read it, it kind of messes with me a little bit. Anyway, so here it describes Leviathan at those ending chapters of Job. And it asks questions like, can you draw Leviathan with a hook? Can you control him? All these things. And here's what it says right there in that same passage of Scripture. Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? That's what it says. So when you think about it, here you got an angelic being that is so precious and wonderful. And here God goes to the dirt, to insignificant. We wash it off our hands. We wash it out of our clothes. We wash it off our face. Dirt. You know? That's where God goes to. So imagine if you're the ultimate being there is. If you're the greatest covering, the beauty, perfect in beauty. Oh, I'm so wonderful. I'm so great. And all of a sudden, God goes to dirt. Tell me. And he loves dirt more than he loves an eternal being. How shocking would that be? That would be crazy. But you see, the same way when Satan went against God and hurt him, is the same way God returned the hurt with dirt. Yeah. Crazy, right? I know. Anyway, that's why God wanted man to fall. intended man to fall in the garden. Because you think about it. Watch this. This is pretty phenomenal. It's a tree. What is a tree made of? Wood. Right? Isn't it odd how wood replicated in everything? I mean, the cross made of wood. You know, when they used to burn the offerings, they burned it with wood. The ark was made of wood. The Ark of the Covenant was made with wood and overlaid with gold. That's just phenomenal. Then that man, when Jesus heals his eyes, he asked him, "What do you see?" He said, "I see men as trees walking." Well, isn't it pretty cool how God says you will know them by their fruits? Isn't it amazing in Jeremiah when it says trees planted by the waters? Think about that. And then, of course, the apostles reference it. You know, the fruit of the Spirit. Anyway, so, yes, that's what happened. God intended for man to fall in the garden. Okay? So man could take the reaction to Satan's action of what he did on the cross. That's why the time passed from Adam to Christ. The rippling effect, or the venting process, you want to call it. Then, of course, after the restitution of all things, what happens? Christ shows up at the right time. But that's why the time passed from Adam to Christ. Okay? Now here's the thing. I'm going to deal with that. Why it was such a great thing. Okay? I'll deal with that later. I'm almost to my work, and it's already been 42 minutes, and I try to take a half an hour. Anyway, have a great evening. God bless. And until next time, have a good evening or morning, wherever you might be.